Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Film Pundits. We're doing another review of The Strain, episode 2. My name's Adam Hlavik, and I'm joined here with Eric Bratlian.
Yeah, I'm here.
Again.
I'm joining you.
Joining me.
Yep.
For the second time.
The second time.
Yep.
Well, third. Yeah, doesn't matter. I'm here.
So we're going to start off by talking about non-spoiler material, and then we'll move on into spoiler territory.
Yep. Just like the last time.
Just
you
like
know
the
how
last
this
time.
works. We'll talk about stuff that doesn't ruin anything, and then we ruin everything. So you can skip past that point when we get to it. But let's get to talking about it. What do you think about this second episode of The Strain?
I liked it a lot.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was... They introduced a new character, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they also answered a lot of questions that were left unanswered in the first episode and raised a whole slew of new questions, as usual. So, What did you think?
I definitely was a little bit more bored with this episode, actually. I was... There was a lot of kind of watching characters do stuff and it's like, okay, I guess I kind of need to know a little about these characters.
It felt like mostly exposition this entire
episode. And there was a lot of exposition, but the only thing that I didn't like necessarily about the exposition was it felt very right in your face. Here's all your exposition. Here, let's just have these characters talk about stuff that's going to like explain everything, kind of like, oh, here's the backstory for these people. Here's the backstory for these people, all based on them yelling at each other or having an angry conversation with one another. Mm-hmm. And it felt a little bit forced to me. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it did definitely raise some more questions, but overall... No, we'll save the overalls for later. But, yeah, I mean, you know, it was another episode. It had some cool parts. But, yeah, overall, I think it maybe had a little bit too much, slow character stuff at the beginning and throughout, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the pilot definitely set up the relationships. It set up the scenario, set up what the story's going to be.
Uh-huh.
I think probably we are going to get a lot of exposition episodes for the next couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Just to kind of ramp up what the story is, what the backstory is, who all the characters are, and how they connect.
Uh-huh.
Which is kind of unfortunate. Yeah, they'll definitely be slower. But I think once we get past that hump, it's going to be just... I don't know. I foresee a lot of action and a lot of just getting to the point of what's happening.
Yeah. Which, I could see that. I could see that being a thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it was cool how they're bringing in more new people still, and you're like, okay, these people are definitely seem like they're going to come in handy. They're interesting people. But I just felt like we got too small of a glimpse of all the stuff we really wanted to see, and too much of kind of the stuff that wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into what actually happens in the episode that you people that have not seen it will not want to see or hear about?
Yeah, so we're going to talk spoilers.
Yes.
So if you don't want to know anything...
Yep. If you...
Stop.
Yep.
Stop right now.
Yep. Once again, click right here.
Click on all them Guardians.
Yep, all of
them.
them.
And they'll take you to the end, and they'll just give us give you guys the final wrap-up on what we think about the episode.
Exactly. All right.
So without further ado... Spoilers.
Yep, some spoilery stuff.
So, what do we have on our list?
Well,
List o' things.
we kind of got a little bit of story about what that heart in the jar is, huh?
Yeah.
We know it's a woman now. We know it's somebody that the older gentleman cared for.
Abraham.
Yes, we know that it's so. I'm getting the vibe that it's his wife.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm going with what I kind of thought last time is it might be wife.
I have a feeling because when he's visited in the prison by one of the other vampire characters, and he keeps referring to him by a number.
Oh yeah.
So I have a feeling that, and we found out in the first episode that all these characters are formerly from Germany, or from that part of the world at least.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that these guys may have been part of Hitler's Nazi party or something.
Okay.
Something really, really crooked because he keeps referring to him to a number. And as we all know from history, a lot of the Jews who were in Auschwitz and who were, killed by all the Nazis were branded with a number.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that, and he refers to him as the Jew.
Uh-huh.
So I have a feeling that Abraham and the wife or his lady, whoever she was, they may have been in a prison, and he ends up escaping.
Okay.
Which is maybe where he got the sword, and he's just carried this with him for all these years, for 75 plus years.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a lot more backstory to find out about Abraham.
Okay, I could see that.
And his connection with all these vampire characters.
Yeah.
And, we start to learn a little bit more every episode from all these characters. So I'm really interested to see that dynamic play out.
It's really interesting that you say that. I didn't even think about that, but considering, I mean, I've heard the Nazis were doing tests on people, and if they found this vampire thing, they're testing it and its powers on people, and maybe that's how the old man kind of, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting idea, and I mean, didn't they talked about Nazis even in Hellboy, right? So Guillermo sort of had some past, a little bit of history with some Nazis in the Hellboy movie. So I don't know. That seems that could definitely be a possibility.
Yeah, and we haven't read the book or the comic, so I'm going into purely speculating, but just based on history and based on what I know, it kind of sounds like that could be the case, which I think is pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, that would definitely be real cool.
Yeah, and then to find out maybe like how the wife died. If it was them trying to escape, or she was used as leverage to try to reel him back in, or what?
Well, the way the German guy was describing it, it almost seemed like he was kind of torturing her.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know the reason why he was torturing her. Maybe it was because they tried running away, they caught her, they didn't catch him, something like that. It'll. I mean, hopefully,
interesting dynamic.
That backstory I kind of liked, but it did also feel just a little. Oh, let's just give you everything you need to know all at once. Bam.
Yeah.
And then, I don't understand. He was pressing his finger against the glass, and it sounded like it was cracking and starting to shatter.
I think he was testing his strength to see just how strong that glass was versus his power.
Okay.
And that's why he tells him, you're lucky you're basically behind this glass because it will protect you for the time being. And also when he tells them you look exactly, Abraham tells the vampire, you look exactly the same. So I think that definitely reaffirms the fact that guy is for sure a vampire. Which before I wasn't 100% sure. I don't know if he was just working for the main vampire. But now it's definitely clear that he is a vampire from the past. Yeah. He just keeps on living and living.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What did you think about the whole? We open on this new character, the health inspector, who we don't know is a health inspector, and I don't know what this guy's deal is. So we open on this guy, and he's got all these gadgets, all this stuff, and you're like, oh, is this a trained vampire killer? This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
And then later you see him shut down a restaurant because there's a rat in it, and I was definitely a little disappointed. I was like, okay, this guy's not what I thought he was. But I have a feeling this guy's definitely going to come in handy when it comes to vampire killing time.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a cool character. I'm kind of excited to see where this guy goes.
I didn't even realize that there was gonna be a new character in the show, since I don't know much about it. So as soon as they open on him, I recognize the actor. It's Kevin Durand, who was in X-Men Origins. He played the Blob. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see. He's a physical character.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
So if he's coming on in the show, and when you said, when you see him, he grabs all of his tools and everything, you think he's going to go kill someone.
Yeah.
Or something.
Something, yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a nice way to kind of mislead us, or maybe not mislead us, but make us think he's going to do something like go vampire slaying. And then he ends up shutting down this restaurant. But yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be a pivotal role in the future, and he's going to kill some people.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
For sure. I could see that being interesting.
And when he was first gearing up, did he sheath a sword? Was that what that was, or what was that?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was a sword, but I could be wrong. It looked like a sword. But
could have just been a knife. Maybe.
Could have been.
I don't know.
Yeah, but in the meantime, while he's not hunting vampires, he's going to be slaying some rats.
Yeah, or his cat will be.
Yeah.
And so then right after we are introduced to this new gentleman, we are back to the Mexican gang-related guy or whatever driving that van. And it looked like he was just in time to make it into that garage before the sun came up, because it was getting pretty bright. And then he pulls into that garage and makes the mistake of opening the door in the back.
Even after the vampire tells him, don't touch the package. Don't leave it alone.
But I thought for sure that guy was dead.
Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah. As soon as nobody is in that garage and he's there by himself, I'm like, oh, all right, this guy's vampire food.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. But so then he escapes out under the garage door that somehow magically closed behind him that we never actually saw close.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets out and then he goes back home and we find out, oh, his brother is the one who robbed the convenience store and took that clock from the old man in the first episode. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I didn't totally piece together right away until he showed the clock and was like, oh, I stole it from this guy down the street. It's like, oh, totally forgot. This is the same guy. But even all that stuff, that whole backstory felt a little, it was the same thing of like, oh, let me yell at you, brother, about all the things you've done in your past that's going to come into play later on and tell everybody what you used to be an altar boy or something and now you don't go to church anymore and you're this gangster guy, whatever. And he's all just yelling at him. And I mean, that exposition felt a little forced as well. Just here, let me yell everything perfectly at you.
Well, I'm trying to really figure out what the what like the significance of these characters are.
Yeah.
Because to me, they feel like characters that are just gonna die.
I mean, I don't know. I'm this gangster Mexican guy, whatever. What is his name? Ramon?
I don't remember.
I don't
his
know.
name.
But this guy, he seems like maybe he's gonna I don't know. Maybe he's gonna.
I feel like the brother will at least die.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's gonna do much of anything.
No.
Other than get in the way. But I don't know. The main brother feels like he might be able to do something. He might get in there and start fighting or something.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how his story plays out because right now you don't really know his connection to anything. You don't understand why he's kind of there, other than to just be the middleman, the driver.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where that's gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then let's see. We get a little bit more story about that older gentleman. What's wrong with him? He needs a new liver, apparently.
Yeah.
What's up with that? I mean, what exactly doesn't your liver purify your blood or something? What does the liver do? I should have looked this up. I don't know. It doesn't seem like if you're a vampire, what do you need a liver for? And half those bodies, like their hearts were taken out and they're fine. So what's up? What's this guy's story? Why does he need a liver?
I don't think he's a vampire.
Okay, so you think
I
he's
think
not.
he was someone who was in line with them, maybe back in the past, because he's definitely old.
Yeah,
he's old for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if he were to be somebody who had worked with them during World War II, I'm gonna assume he would have been. I'm gonna say his age is maybe around 70s.
Yeah.
So he would have maybe been in his 20s ish. Maybe.
Okay.
So he probably was some kind of a young guy, and I think that the thing is that maybe he did some kind of a favor for this army of vampires. I don't know. And now they're basically repaying their debts to him. Mm-hmm. But that's really all I can piece away from that character because it's really hard to say what significance he plays because he doesn't show the effects of a regular vampire.
Yeah.
And
then at the end, he kind of bows down to the big mighty one, like, okay, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Like, what's going to happen?
So there's
here?
some kind of hierarchy. He's not. I don't think he's a vampire. And I think whatever that main vampire has for him is going to maybe cure him or help him live longer. I don't know.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
But it's a tough call.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the character who's the least developed.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
And I don't know if that's on purpose because they want to keep a mystery as to like what his role is, or if that's just how the character is.
Okay. Yeah, and then one other thing with him as well is when he's sitting there talking with the other German guy, and they're talking about, oh, we've got this problem. They're still holding our people there, and then he's saying, oh, within an hour, nobody will care. What happens in an hour? Nothing. Yeah. Nothing happens in an hour. Like, there's no big story on the TV, nothing. I mean...
you know what I think it may have been?
What's that?
By the end of the episode, they start to feel the effects of turning into a vampire.
Yeah, but that wasn't within an hour.
I guess.
So that's... I mean, it's not that nothing... Yeah, some stuff happened that is going to be causing an issue, but I don't understand why they threw in that part of within an hour nobody will care if it's not going to happen within an hour.
Right.
None of that happened by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
it may not be something that they address until the next episode. Maybe.
No, you would have heard about it on TV. The main characters were still doing stuff at night and nothing was going on. They hadn't heard anything. So,
I don't know what they were referencing exactly.
Yeah, they didn't really talk about that all that much.
Another unanswered question on this week's episode of The Strain.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Carlton Cuse. I blame him.
Yeah. So one other thing, when they The pilot who agrees to help them, let them look at him, when they put him in the hospital room, they look at him with a black light, realize, oh, he has the same scar as everybody else. Why did they not know that earlier? They've got all these dead bodies with scars on their neck, and they don't check the 4 survivors for scars on their neck. I don't understand. They're in that quarantine area. There's black lights everywhere. Everybody has a black light. Oh, give me a black light. Oh, what do you know? There's a black light there.
Yeah.
So obviously, come on. Why
I
would
think
you
from
not?
what they said is that the scar had healed and they couldn't see it.
But he saw it right as soon as he shone the black light on it.
With the black light, yes. But
Yeah.
I guess like just with his regular eye, he couldn't see.
They didn't see any of the other ones either. But
Yeah.
why would you not use a black light on these 4 people that were in a thing with the rest of these people that you did use a black light on?
I think it's mostly because they survived. Maybe that was their reason to not have to feel like they needed to do it. But I don't know.
If you did it to everybody else, and there
Yeah.
was stuff that showed up on a black light, why would you not use the
Yeah.
black light again? That just didn't make any sense to me.
If anything, I would be more inclined to test them first since they survived.
Exactly.
What set them apart from
yeah,
surviving?
look at their stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And then I don't understand why nobody seems to tell anybody, oh, there's scars on everybody's neck. What's the deal with that? Because they're trying to say, oh, it was carbon monoxide poisoning. That's what killed all these people. Then why do they all have a scar on their neck in the exact same place, and there's all this stuff all over the seats with a black light? Like, how is that not brought up when they're trying to use the excuse of carbon monoxide poisoning? Obviously, that is not the case.
Right. And I think might be part of that whole cover-up, that they know that that's there, but they don't want to tell anybody because they want to hide it because they don't want to start some kind of a panic maybe.
I mean, I guess, but
it seems to me it seems like it's something that those types of organizations would do.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell people that, we have some unknown virus that could potentially be unleashed.
I guess so.
But so we're going to come up with some lame excuse that it was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, it's just this episode made me realize that if this were to ever happen in real life, we would just all die.
Yeah.
Because people are so greedy, they can't bother losing out on any money from having to close an airport down. They don't bother trying to figure out what anything is. It's like, nah, we'll just let people go. Yeah, we're all going to die if this ever actually happens because people suck.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So that was interesting.
I mean, you look at history and you look at things like anthrax.
Yeah.
But even you, until people start dying, and they're like, oh, by the way. Oh, good.
Yeah, so, that was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get to our main character. Some stuff
Rum.
happens with him in this episode.
Yeah, you learn some things.
So he goes and, tries to reconcile with his son and his wife a little bit.
Yeah, mostly because they're due in court for a joint custody hearing.
Yeah.
So he goes and he has a conversation with his son to try to not necessarily persuade him to say any one particular thing.
Yeah.
But to just be honest and truthful about hopefully getting joint custody over the kid.
Which is kind of weird because the wife doesn't seem like the kind of person who's going to try to force the husband out.
Right.
Like, it doesn't seem like he needs to convince anybody. She doesn't seem angry at him. She seems fine. Like, she still cares about him when she opens the door for him. She even told him in the marriage counseling or whatever, like, I still care about you.
Right.
So obviously she doesn't seem to hate the guy. I don't understand why he has to fight so hard to get joint custody of his kid.
Right.
It seems like that's just something that's going to happen. It doesn't seem like anybody's fighting over anybody.
I don't think necessarily that she doesn't want him to not get custody, but I think a lot of it has to do with his work ethic, and he's very obsessed with his job. So I think the mother might be concerned that if he does get joint custody, he may neglect the son when the son's with him. So she wants to spare the son maybe the pain of having to go through that.
I guess that's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like the most logical thing. But you're right, I don't think she seems like the type who would want to force that to happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then he meets the new boyfriend.
Yeah, well, yeah, he kind of met him before a little bit. But yeah,
but they actually have like more of an personal exchange.
And he hugs him and says they're going to be best friends, which was a very awkward
and he looks
situation.
At him and well, and it's funny because he tells him, he's like, just promise me you'll take care of them.
Yeah.
Just that's all I ask for. And he shakes his hand and goes in for the hug, and he's like, oh, God, this is awkward. Which I guess it would be awkward.
Yeah, as this guy is rebuilding your house that you're still paying for and taking over your life, and it's like, hey, cool, man. Yeah, we're best buds
Enjoy
now.
my house that I'm paying for.
I'd be so pissed about that. I don't even know. Yeah, but whatever.
And then right after that, we learned that Ephraim was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So he's been sober for what, I think
a year
and 11 days or something or 11
like
months.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in a an AA meeting, essentially.
Which I found also a little interesting because he barely made time to leave, like, the girl and the research to go and see his son. But now he's going to AA. It's like you almost had to force him to go see his son. But all of a sudden, he's got plenty of time to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting for who knows how long. Mm-hmm. It's like, really, of all the priorities, see your son. Go back to figuring out what killed 200-some people. Who cares about AA? If you're already sober, obviously, figure out how to save people's lives over going to this AA meeting. If you barely have time to even go see your son.
Yeah.
But
well, I think the thing is too is he says when he's having his monologue, which I thought was actually done really well. He talks about he's had a craving for alcohol every day, and he mentions that it's hard for him to go to his house and see his wife with another man and his son there with another man, and this man's in their house rebuilding their house, and it's a house that he still pays for.
Yeah.
So I don't think that scene was necessary to be in there. It did feel kind of forced, and it did feel kind of redundant, given that they were trying to really force him to race time to go meet with his son and then go back to do research.
Yeah.
I think maybe you could have saved that for the next episode. But I think it was good to see another side of that character, that he has a bigger vulnerability than just what he's dealing with now. It's also his past of being an alcoholic, and it'd be interesting to see how that affected his marriage too.
Yeah.
Was he an abusive alcoholic? Doesn't seem like it. But he may have had outbursts, and maybe that led to their divorce too. And I don't know. I think it's an interesting. He's a cool character. I like him because he is so flawed, but he's still, regardless of all of his flaws, he's still trying to do the right thing. He's trying to save all these people.
Yeah.
And I mean, he doesn't really benefit from it.
No.
So I think he's a cool character.
Yeah. And we also see him kiss his coworker this time, so we know, there's definitely a little something going on. Oh, look at that. We know there's definitely a little something going on there.
Yeah.
All right, so
Which
that's kind of confirmed.
they kind of hint toward in the first episode.
They
that
did,
they had some
yeah,
kind of past relationship.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a past thing, though. Now it seems like it's a current thing. So now we kind of see what's going on with that, which is a little interesting. And then I think this was before but he goes to see the pilot again in the hospital. Looks at his face and sees worms crawling through this guy's face
with the
black light,
which is just nasty.
Okay, so you see that and then you leave.
Yeah,
I mean,
if it was me, the first thing I would do would be like, sedate him and operate on him, and what the hell is happening?
Well, I mean, they know what the worms are.
That's true.
They've already
they were
seen
testing them in the scene before.
So
with
they
the blood.
know exactly what the worms are.
Yeah.
If anything, you call the police. You're like, come and lock down this room. This guy, there's something wrong with this guy. But no, they just leave, and they're like, hey, let's go find out why the coroner hasn't answered our phone calls all day long.
Which I guess I understand from their perspective, because he's not being violent in any way. I think I'd be concerned if he did start showing aggressive behavior. Then I would be like, lock him down.
So you're telling me if you saw worms crawling through my face, you wouldn't care at all unless I was acting aggressive?
No, I mean, I would definitely care. I don't know. Well, do you mean to
do something about it?
Like to quarantine the area, or to actually pin him down and lock him down?
No. Don't lock. No, I'm not saying do anything to the guy. I'm just saying
just
get some
quarantine the
people
area
on that room.
Yeah,
watch
that I agree
this guy.
with. Yeah,
don't leave him alone in this hospital room for no good reason with
you
your
don't know what he
doctor
has.
buddy. Exactly.
Yeah.
These worms are crawling through his body. He's hearing noises. He's feeling terrible. Obviously, there's something wrong with this guy. You don't leave him by himself with worms crawling through his face.
Yeah, it's a little
doesn't
nasty.
make any sense.
It's a little nasty.
Yeah,
a little disgusting.
And then they get to the coroner's office finally. And don't seem to get concerned at the overturned chair and the empty body bags and the seemingly endless amounts of signs that there's something going on here.
Some people dead.
Doesn't seem to faze them whatsoever.
Yeah.
One thing I found entertaining is, of course, the lights are on everywhere but the one room that the lights should be off.
The vampires ate the light bulbs.
Well, yeah, they only break them in the one room that they are looking in. I don't know. Whatever. It's always got to be dark, and they got to use flashlights, right?
It's a horror show. Come on.
Of course. It's got to be dark,
Yeah.
even though every other room was light. If the lights were off in the whole hospital or the whole morgue, okay.
Then I would have not gone in there. I would have ran out.
Well, I guess. They didn't seem to notice or care about anything. So we just see them walk in, and they don't really find out much until we cut to something. Did they cut to the little girl after that? Wasn't that what? Because that's how the episode ended.
Was that the scene right before?
I'm pretty sure that was the scene right before it.
Did they ever find the coroner?
No. They saw his glasses cracked glasses. Where's that coroner at? He's walking around somewhere. Oh, but actually, before we get to the ending, which was awesome,
yeah,
let's talk about that rock star vampire orgy. the rock star guy.
Why does this guy keep wearing his damn wig?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he took it off to,
Jesus.
to have a little bit of fun time with those three ladies, those three lovely
It was a very
ladies.
rated R scene, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was.
You enjoyed it a little too much.
Well, I enjoy myself some good nudie television. So that was fun. You get to see that, and then we get
Can
that.
I just say something real quick?
Yes, you can.
That attorney lady, I
Yeah.
hope she dies.
Yeah, she's
I
very
can't
unpleasant.
stand her.
Yeah.
She is a...
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's aggressive.
That's
a word you
man.
just- you
between
can't
her
take that
and
back.
between her and the Rockstar Vampire, I hope those two die.
I
So
like
quick.
the Rockstar Vampire.
Oh,
He's just
God.
cocky and fun, but she's just unpleasant. I don't really like
Yeah,
her. So
she's unpleasant
yeah.
in the most unpleasant way to be unpleasanted by.
Yeah, so I mean, it was nice to see a little drop of blood in her wine from her gums, which is
Yeah.
a little weird. At that whole little, all of a sudden, he's best friends with the lawyer. Which
I was
is a
about to
little
mention, why the hell were they having lunch together?
weird. Yeah,
in a
out
restaurant.
of nowhere. They're
In-
like best buddies.
I don't know.
And then he's trying to get it on with her, but
yeah,
I think that's just because
let's go to my motel room.
he just
or
needs to
whatever
clean
it
his
was.
pipes, as he said to his agent. But I think he did a little bit better with the three hot chicks than he would have done with the lawyer.
Yeah,
so,
I think he.
I don't know
think
why
he
he bothered.
upgraded.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we see this nice little long shot staring at the girl's neck, and then of course we're like, okay, it's about to go down. He goes in there, bites her, and all right. So they're definitely vampires. Now they're getting hungry, which is cool. We're starting to see some vampire stuff.
That scene was so ridiculous.
It was shot really weird.
It was. I never mind. I won't even go into it.
Okay, it's just
It was
like
awkward.
it was. Yeah, the cuts were really weird, and all of a sudden he's just sitting there with blood all over his face and
Yeah.
licking blood off the ground.
He jumps on the
and-
ground, starts licking blood off the ground. I'm
Yeah,
like, you just pulled a full 180 from human to vampire.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But then we see the little girl make a whole turn from human to vampire.
I would have much rather not seen him bite one of those girls.
Uh-huh.
I would have much rather it ended maybe right before he was about to do it and
Okay.
then just went straight to the little girl.
Okay.
Because that little girl was scary as shit.
Yeah, she was quite frightening.
It was quite frightening.
The whole time you're
little
sitting there
children
like,
as
what's
vampires
happening?
or anything like lethal
Yeah.
is creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yep. Yeah. And oh man, that dad, who totally forgot about this. Who calls Ephraim and says, "Hey, my little girl came back to me," and you just ignore that? Really? This guy's he's seeing ghosts. Come on. It's getting a little ridiculous now. How little these characters think out stuff and take people seriously. I don't know.
Well, I think for him, if you're Ephraim and you don't, yes, they went. Well, was the morgue scene before or after that phone
After
call?
they were on their way to the morgue as they got the phone call.
Okay.
And that's why he said we're about to find out when we get there if that little girl's there. We'll know for sure that he's crazy.
Right.
Which kind of
yeah.
makes sense. I mean, if you're 2 minutes away from the morgue and you're about to find out, okay, I get it. All right,
Yeah.
maybe this guy's crazy, but
That should
take it a
that should be,
little
like,
more
the first thing
seriously.
they should go to after.
Yeah,
Call this guy
yeah,
back, like,
for sure.
your daughter's there. Like what?
Also,
What's
find out
happening?
what that guy's address is because now
And
you have
go
no
there
way of
now.
knowing because he's kind of a little dead.
Yeah, which I think they will probably end up finding out where he lives. Go to
Yeah.
the house, find him dead, and the daughter's missing.
So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
but
she bit him and he died.
she had alien mouth.
Yeah,
She had a little mouth in her mouth with a mouth inside of that. There's mouth on mouth on mouth. Mouthception. But that whole little girl scene was pretty intense.
yeah. She's
It was
just sitting in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Cold water, which,
Yep.
by the way, if you leave your kids in the bathtub in cold water, shame on you.
Okay.
Who does that?
I don't know. That guy?
Terrible.
Because otherwise,
And
I
in
don't
the
know.
dark, which I thought was really creepy.
Yeah.
Which he did say that she was going to turn the lights
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So that was one thing, but yeah, that was just creepy. Was
was.
she humming? Was she sitting there humming or something, or blowing bubbles in the water?
She was just making weird noises.
Yeah, she was making weird noises, and the dad comes up, and she's obviously cold in the
Yeah.
bathtub, so he goes to take her out of the bathtub, and she straight on
Eats him up. Just destroys
bites
him.
him, and I don't know, it was
Yep.
nasty.
Yeah. But it was cool.
It was.
That was well done.
It was a really good ending.
Yeah, it was. And overall, it was a good ending to the episode.
Yeah, so one thing I definitely want to see more of is the new character they introduced in this episode, how he ties in the whole thing.
Yeah.
How Abraham's going to finally get out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
And how his whole backstory plays out. And just to see Ephraim kind of take charge and figure out, just to start putting everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe see what happens with Sean Astin's character, if he's
Yeah,
going to feel the repercussions of what he did.
We barely got a glimpse of him. Did
Right.
we? Did we even see him at all in the episode?
You
we
did.
Just saw him in the flashback.
So they go back, and they finally discover the body of the CDC worker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he
who had
threw
his
up.
head crushed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they show up, and he goes, "Where's his head?" And he points to all the scraps of just junk on the floor, and he goes, "That is his head." And he starts vomiting everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it.
Which was yeah, it was pretty gross.
Yeah,
to
a
see
little
the
bit.
guy's head splattered all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm interested to see how his relationship is affected by the decisions he makes. How all these characters kind of play out together.
Yeah.
And just to figure out who this main vampire is, who finally talks in this episode.
It was a little hard to understand, but
right.
I would have enjoyed subtitles for that part. It would have been good.
Which I thought would have been cool maybe if he would start speaking in German.
Oh yeah.
To just maybe confirm whether or not he is of that same descent. But I don't know, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So overall thoughts, I liked the episode. I did feel like there was a lot of exposition, but I liked learning some of the backstory to some of the characters. I liked the introduction of the new character, and hopefully those relationships will expand, and we'll get to know more about what is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say overall it had its good parts of this episode. Everything, all the action and cool stuff that happened was good. I just felt everything in between all that was a little bit slow and a little too in your face with what it was trying to do. I still definitely enjoyed the episode overall. I'm very excited to see where this new character that they introduced. I really want to see where he's going towards, because he seems like he's going to be a cool character.
Yeah, he's going to fight some people.
I
can't wait to see.
He's got this kooky, weird, just this the way he is. It just seems so different.
Where do you think he's from? Because he had some kind of an accent.
Maybe Russian? Maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, he sort of got this, I'm a badass, and I will do whatever I want to do. I'll shut your restaurant
Which I couldn't tell
down.
if he was trying to be German or Russian. So
yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
But we'll see. Yeah, that guy, he's got some stuff he's going to do, for sure. And I think this was a good second episode. Could have done with a little bit more of the fun stuff, but that's okay. We need to learn about our characters too. So yeah, overall, I don't think it's quite as good as the first episode, but it was fine as the second episode, and I'm still excited to see where this universe is going to go and where the show is going to take us.
Neat.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on our list?
I
or
think that was it. We covered everything that I was looking to cover.
Cool.
Yep.
I guess that's all for today.
That is it.
But let us know what you guys thought of the episode. Just leave us a comment below, and let us know what your thoughts were, what you agree with, disagree with, and just give us your overall impression of the show. In the meantime, you guys can subscribe to our channel, like and favorite our videos, and share them with your friends. And let's get other people in on the conversation so we can see kind of overall how people feel about the show.
Yeah.
And you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thefilmpundits. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, all under the Film Pundits. And we'll be back next week with another review of episode 3.
We sure will. Yep.
And as a reminder, it is Comic-Con this week.
Oh, yeah.
All hell is going to break loose in San Diego, so if you're going down there,
oh man,
Godspeed.
Yeah,
it's going to be crazy.
Yep.
We'll probably be down there throughout the weekend covering some stuff. If you guys want to be up to date on what we're covering, just go to our website, thefilmpundits.com, and check back for our podcast, which is going to be covering all the news that's happened this last week, which was a lot of stuff. We'll be covering that right before Comic-Con sometime in the next couple days, so check back for that. And where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on Twitter at Thanks for the View with a number 4 in the middle.
Cool.
Yep.
And you can find me on all social media just under Adam Hlavik.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, guys. And until next
you.
week, adios.
So long.